Welcome to the Artist Academy podcast. I'm your host, Andrea Earhart, and I am so excited that you're here to catch the weekly replay of my laid-back yet very inspiring conversations with other full-time professional artists. The purpose of this series is to show aspiring artists that it is completely possible to have a great career in the arts. And if you ever want to tune in and have your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just check out the schedule over at facebook.com/groups/Artist Academy every Tuesday to catch us on live. I'll see you there. This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time six-figure art business. With weekly trainings that include step-by-step proven art business techniques, plus painting tutorials from yours truly and other guest artists who are masters in their field, you will be well equipped to learn and grow into the highly skilled and highly profitable artist you know you're meant to be. I've figured out what it takes to build my own six-figure art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. It's not hard, but it does require your time and dedication. So, if you're up for the challenge, go to advancedmember.com. That's advancedmember.com to learn more. This week's episode features the business brain behind the internationally famous Montague duo, Courtney Montague. If you do not know who Courtney and Kelsey are, then you are probably living under a rock because even Taylor Swift knows who they are. The Montague sisters completed a pair of giant butterfly wings for her this past year, among several other interactive photo op art pieces for big name brands all over the world. This is probably the most excited and slightly nervous I had been to interview someone so far, and I just want to share a quick behind-the-scenes story. So about halfway through the interview, a little notification popped up on my phone saying 20% battery remaining. I had forgotten to charge my phone for what was one of the most important interviews I had done for this podcast yet. So that whole thing just skyrocketed my nerves about halfway through. I was literally thinking that my phone was going to die at any moment, and I couldn't plug it in because my headphones were plugged into it. But in the end, everything was fine. And I'm just so thankful that Courtney took the time to chat with us about the business side of their art business. And she was so open about everything, about their journey and how they got to where they are today. And let me know what you think about this week's episode with Courtney Montague. If you just wanted to kind of maybe just start by introducing yourself, maybe for anybody who lives under a rock and don't know who you and your sister are.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So my name is Courtney Montague. Hello. I am the sister of Kelsey Montague, who is known for her wings. She does a lot of wing art. She's an interactive street artist. She did the mural in the Gulch in Nashville that's become really, really popular and kind of has a huge line of people waiting to stand with it. I'm the business side of the business, so I'm kind of the face behind the brand, and I work with her on all of the clients and everything to do with clients. And then I also help with murals, so we're actually in Palm Springs right now working on a mural, and I do a lot of like the non-creative work, so like coloring in of lines and just general getting paint and supplies and everything ready for her. So that's my role.
Which is super important, though, because, I mean, that helps with the whole creative process for her to kind of focus on that. I think it's every artist's dream to be, first off, working with someone they trust and that can do the business side of it. Really, that just sounds amazing. And I can't wait to pick your brain about everything that you guys do on the business side of it, because it's such an important side of it. A lot of people just see the finished product, but they don't see so many things that go on behind the scenes that you're doing.
Yeah. I think if you're an artist and you do have someone who can help, I think it's really important, because as an artist, you really need to focus on your craft and focus on doing what you're good at and being creative. And I think constantly trying to split your time between like business and art and business and art can be really, really, really hard. So I think she calls me her secret weapon, which is really a nice thing to say.
Oh, that's so true.
I'm able to help with all those things, contracts and negotiations and things like that, artists, I mean, Kelsey to me is just a genius. And I think as much as she can be working on what she's so brilliant at, the better, because she just is so great at it. She doesn't need to be working on contracts.
Aw, that's so amazing. And again, just somebody that she trusts too. It's so big. So what was the tipping point for you ladies to going from working other jobs to going and working and doing this duo business with each other?
Yeah. So we have been working together for 10 years now. This is our third business. I like telling people that because I think people see the success we've had, which we're so unbelievably grateful for, and think maybe it just kind of happened. It didn't. We had 2 businesses before this that failed. Both were kind of around her art. One was selling her art on handbags. Her art was beautiful. The handbags were very good. We didn't know what we were doing. And then the second business was an online, socially responsible kind of fashion shop. Basically, we sold items that we found in different places around the world that were created by women and that were super cool. And we also sold some items Kelsey had designed as well. So there was always kind of her creativity and her design within our businesses. Neither worked. And then while we were working on that second business, she had the opportunity to paint on a rotating art wall in New York in downtown. And I secured the wall because it was kind of difficult to like contractually get it. And basically I kind of stepped into the business role naturally, secured it. And then Kelsey was like, I want to do wings because I think we had been living in New York for a long time. At that point, she goes, I think people need more of an excuse to like feel beautiful and uplifted. And, I want to create something that people can interact with and be part of and feel good about. And she and I had both been working in social media strategy. We'd both been working at agencies in New York City. And so she and I came up with the hashtag, what lifts you? And we were like, we're going to put it on and just see what happens. I think it took a bit of courage because we were actually worried people were going to think it was corny and just kind of silly, especially New Yorkers, because New Yorkers are tough folks. And we can consider ourselves like New Yorkers because we lived there a while. But everyone loved it and embraced it immediately. There was immediately a little line that had developed as soon as we finished the wings. Mashable came out and did an article on it. She had like DM'd them and been like, hey, I'm doing this. Do you want to come out? And they were awesome and videoed it. And then a week later, Vanessa Hudgens was the first celebrity that stood with it. And then the next day, Taylor stood with it and posted about it. And then a bunch of Victoria's Secret models posted it. And so it just blew up, immediately. And so we're like, well, we'll do murals on the side while we're working on our other business. But then it just grew and grew and grew. And we, realized, no, this is our business. So the good thing about it was there are a lot of good things about having a couple of failed businesses before this is we learned quickly how to work with each other. Like we're very blessed because I feel like we, she's really creative and I'm a little bit more business minded. So we kind of have that good synergy between us. But we also, I think, from failing a couple of times, it makes you really feel blessed when you succeed. Like when something works out, you really feel it. So I think it's been awesome. The last 5 years is when we've been doing the mural business and things have kind of taken off.
Wow, that is amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. I've done my research on you guys, and I didn't know that you started 2 businesses before. Yeah. And I love that you shared that just because I think a lot of people, when they start out, they're like, even with different painting styles, they'll be like, well, I want to do a series on this, and it doesn't really work. And then they finally get something that kind of takes off, and I think that's a great example of either, because you guys are kind of in the arts with that, like with designing clothes and doing online stuff. It's like it definitely prepared you to do what you're doing now.
Yeah, it absolutely did. So I'm really grateful for that. The experience has been wonderful. So.
That's amazing. So
Yeah.
what makes up your typical work day? How many hours do you spend on the computer? Like, what do you do? What does she do? What's a typical day in the life?
Yeah, I think since we travel so much, because we're traveling like 3 to 3.5 weeks a month right now. I mean, we literally are probably home like 4 or 5 days a month, which is not sustainable like long term. But I'd say the last 2 years, and especially the last 12 months, we can't like accommodate all the work that we're getting, which is a great problem to have. But because of that, I think, on the plane, Kelsey is drawing or I'm working on emails. She's doing a mock-up. So whenever we're not actually physically working on a mural, I'm working on contracts or talking to clients, answering emails, and she's working on a mock-up kind of. Usually I'd say we're about 2 to 3 months out as far as mock-ups go and just getting prepped for jobs. So we just spend, like this week we're prepping for jobs 3 months from now, basically. And then when we're doing murals on mural days, typically we're up working, like this morning we were up and working at 8:30, and then we'll probably work, this one we kind of have to do quickly, we'll probably work till 6 or 7, and then go to bed, get up, do it again, and then get on the plane tomorrow night. So I actually don't know if there's a typical day. It seems like we're all over the place. But they're long days. I will say we've been working really hard. I mean, 14-hour days happen a couple times a week, so like we work long hours, I would say. And the interesting thing about Kelsey is that she's always drawing, even she's always doing a mock-up, but when she doesn't have a mock-up to do, she has all these like side projects she wants to do.
Not a typical work day. I like that. And a lot of artists that I interview, I don't know that any of us have a typical work day. Your guys is a bit crazy though, because you guys are in different cities, different countries all the time. Where did you say you were right now again?
Right now we're in Palm Springs, working in just outside of Palm Springs in Rancho Mirage. And then in exciting news, this last couple of months has been really, really exciting. We're going to Dubai on Friday for a project. Yeah, so we'll be there all next week, which will be really exciting. So
amazing. Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So what is your main resource for attaining new clients? Is it basically, do people come to you now? Did you kind of pitch yourself in the beginning? Like what was that like?
Yeah, it's definitely Instagram. That's really where people find us. And then when we started, though, we did pitch. So when Taylor stood in front of the first set of wings that we did get, I think we got one job immediately from that. Like they saw it and they immediately hired us. And then certainly that has opened she opened a million doors for us. Like she's amazing and she continues to be amazing. We can talk about that later, but like, she's awesome. But at the beginning, people still didn't know Kelsey. And so we did pitch a lot, and we would pitch what Kelsey was doing with the wings, but then more specifically with interactive arts and this movement that she was really trying to start of getting people to, her art is not complete until people are inside of it. And that's what she wants. She wants people to feel part of art. She wants people to be living works of art, because we are naturally, I think humans are naturally, but putting them inside of art, I think just adds an element
Definitely.
So we did pitch a lot.
Okay, good. And so when you're pitching, do you find a building, like a wall that you like, or a business that you want to work with, and you contact them that way?
Sometimes, yeah. Yeah, Kelsey will sometimes, back in the day, she used to find walls and reach out to people that way. We used to want to work with like certain brands, and she would find an email. She's a really good researcher, and email them and just say, hey, like, this is what I'm doing. So yeah, I think having courage and just like asking people is a great way to get started.
So are there any business lessons that you've learned the hard way?
Yeah, I think there are definitely a few. I think as an artist, you got to be really careful about intellectual property rights. I think you know about that as well, but I think as you grow, there's more and more people that want to copy, and some is, they don't mean to do anything, but some I feel like they're trying to kind of profit off of your ideas or your art or whatever, which is not cool. So I think one of the big things I recommend for artists is to at least get to know an intellectual property attorney, and just have them around, because when you need them, you really need them pretty quickly. So I think as your art grows and as you grow as an artist, I think protecting yourself is a good thing. And the best way to do that is to find an intellectual property attorney that you love.
Such good advice. Yes, such good advice. Because, I think artists all the time, they're like, they see an idea that they really want to do, an idea that they love, and instead of copying it, they're like, okay, well, how could I do something like that? Or like, where's the gray area? Because just like with you guys, like you guys inspired all of my wings. Like I was on Google and Instagram, like trying to find all these different wings, and your guys' stuff popped up, and I was like, that is a brilliant idea. And so I couldn't just take your idea. I was like, okay, how do I make it my own and kind of do something in like the heart of the Midwest where nobody has seen wings really, in Missouri and Kansas.
And you do stunning work. You know that. I think we've told you this before, but
Thank you.
We so appreciate it. You've taken it and you've done like a really cool thing, but it's your own art. So, and that we just love and we appreciate so much.
Oh my gosh, you made my day. You've made my week.
Oh, good.
Amazing. Do you have a favorite past project?
I think that the Taylor Swift wings that we did in April last year for her launch of Me was amazing. I think Kels did a really great job design-wise for it, and then like for her to we didn't know it was her, and then she just walked up and was like, hey, like I commissioned these. Then when she met Kelsey, she said, Kelsey said, I'm Kelsey. I drew these. And she goes, I know who you are. She goes, you've grown so much. So she had been following Kelsey's work and her career. And of course, like as a big sister, I try not to burst into tears, yeah. But I think the response to those wings too was just so amazing, and I think Kelsey has grown and grown and grown, but I think that project has helped us propel us even further within her career and within interactive art in general. I think Taylor, in some ways, almost like legitimized interactive art as like an art form, whereas before I don't know if people necessarily thought. I don't know how to say this, but it's almost like they didn't see it as like a fine art, or since it's not fine art, since it's not in the gallery, since it's on the street, it's kind of that legitimacy was kind of lacking, if that makes sense. And then I think just because it's so new, and I think Taylor helps legitimize Kelsey's work as like a great artist, which she is.
For sure. Yeah, I definitely agree. When I was starting it around here, every time I would pitch it before I did my first wings, they would be like graffiti. I'm like, no, not like graffiti. It's going to be cool. So I definitely understand where you're coming from with that. But you guys have definitely, not just Taylor, but you guys too have really legitimized it too by how much work you've done. And now your artwork is known, and to like her style and your guys' style is just like, when you see it, you automatically think, or you automatically know, like that's a Montague.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah. Thank you for that. I appreciate it.
So what are your future art plans and goals? You have any upcoming projects, and what's going on?
Yeah, I think we're really excited to go to Dubai. That's with Guest Watches, so we're doing a big project with them, so that'll be really cool. And they're just the sweetest souls. They're good people. They're like, you should bring your mom, so our mom is going, which is great.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's like a dream come true to be able to take our parents around with us, because they're the coolest. And they've supported us without question, which, we couldn't have done what we've done without them. So that I'm really excited about. And then later in the year, we're working with the Museum of Urban Contemporary Art in Munich. And she's going to do a huge installation there. And we're just so excited and so looking forward to that. So it will be our first museum project in Europe. So
that is amazing. Oh my
God.
How do you, I couldn't imagine. You guys just did some of the stuff with United, with Winwood Walls, and I'm just like, anytime I see stuff like that, I'm just like, you go girls. I'm like, I have this little bit of jealousy, but it's good though. I'm like, it shows me that like it gives you something to aim for,
Oh,
like a lot of people around here, that it just gives you something to aim for.
Good. That's what we want to do. That's definitely what we want to do. And I should say too, it's just because it's still a little under wraps, but I can say Valentine's Day, our video with United Airlines is coming out. So we went to Peru. We did this kind of big piece, and the video is coming out on Valentine's Day. So keep an eye out on that. It will be on Kelsey's channels and on their channels, social.
Sounds good. Definitely.
Yeah.
So one last question. I won't keep you very long, but is there any advice that you would give artists that want to make art their full-time career, but just don't know where to start?
Yeah. I think one is practicing your craft, and I think two is getting it out there and just being really courageous with it. I think that's one of the things I admire most about Kelsey is her courage to get it out there and to talk to people, pitch people, put it on the sides of buildings. I think just be fearless in marketing yourself and marketing your own art and just getting it out there, because I think everything changed. Kelsey's been an artist her whole life, and I can attest to that because I've been around her whole life because I'm the older sister. But everything changed when Instagram happened, and I think Instagram has really changed lives for artists because it's kind of democratizing art in a way, right? So you don't have to be in a gallery now, and you don't have to know the right people to sell your art. You can get online and you can share it, and you can grow your own audience in your own way. And to me, every time someone likes a post or wants to talk to us, or it's people voting. It's the general populace voting on your art. So I think getting on social media is critical for artists right now.
Definitely. Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, right now I have a group called the Artist Academy, and so where I coach aspiring artists, and we're currently doing a thing where we paint every single day and then we share it as well. And so with you saying those two things, I'm like, yes, it legitimizes what I'm trying to do with them too. And yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. And I've just been looking at all of your work, and you're doing some awesome stuff. So
thank you.
I just wanted to ask you, what are you most excited about coming up? Like, what are you working on?
Well, I'm about to get married, so in 2 weeks. So that's literally all I could think about right now. Yeah. But then huge. Just big murals and stuff. But yeah, I try to do more and more wings and butterflies, actually, because that's the thing that people love to do, love to see.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
But cool. Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, we'll keep in touch. I'll continue to follow you guys, and good luck with everything. And thank you again so much. I think you guys both are such an inspiring example of someone who can just make it work in the art world and just flourish, and especially on Instagram. Like, that is just so cool. And I love how you're just opened up about all of this. And I think a lot of people are going to gain a lot from it.
Good. I certainly hope so.
Good. All right. Have a good night.
All right. Bye. You too. Bye.
Bye. This episode is sponsored by the Artist Academy Advanced Membership, a program for artists who want to up-level their art game by taking it from a hobby or a side hustle to a full-time six-figure art business. With weekly trainings that include step-by-step proven art business techniques, plus painting tutorials from yours truly and other guest artists who are masters in their field, you will be well equipped to learn and grow into the highly skilled and highly profitable artist you're meant to be. I've figured out what it takes to build my own six-figure art business, and now my heart is set on teaching aspiring artists like you to do the same. It's not hard, but it does require your time and dedication. So, if you're up for the challenge, go to advancedmember.com. That's advancedmember.com to learn more. If you've enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and leave a review. If you review our podcast and send a screenshot of that review to me on Instagram, I am at Art by Andrea Earhart. I will then promote your art on my story and tag you as a little thank you for helping me grow this podcast and our Artist Academy community. I have a reach of over 50,000 on Instagram, so this is a little help me to help you incentive. Also, if you ever want your questions answered in real time by myself or featured guests, then just hop on over to facebook.com/groups facebook.com/Artist Academy to check out the schedule every Tuesday to catch us on live. I'll see you next week.